Hello, hello. All right, dudes. Ready for live? I announced this an hour ago just so I will give you some time to join, all right? Yeah, whenever you guys join, just put a comment below. Say where you're from, what time it is, wherever you're from, and we will get to that. Yep, it's a pretty, I don't know, it's not really sunny here if you want to see it. Oh, there you go. It's pretty like, in Aichi, it's pretty. Oh, we see a person. How's it going? Wherever you're from, drop a comment. Who are you? Where you're from? I'd like to hear that, guys. Yeah, here in Aichi, it's like the middle of July, so it's really more people are coming. Come on, come on, come on. Comment. How's it going? Wave back at you, right? Yeah, it's like really muggy, if you know that term. It's really humid and super like not dry, like wet, dark. I'll show you the weather. Right there, you go. That's the second time I do that, but yep, there you go. Super cloudy. Oh, how's it going? Welcome back. Let me open that. Latifa, as always, appreciate you joining. Yeah, to be honest, I'm a bit nervous today because a lot of you have been joining and commenting on my comments. A lot of YouTube stuff's pretty crazy. So, yeah. The other day I started like a class. I did like a class event, and like 3 to 4 people just suddenly joined. So I was like, well, I wasn't prepared for that, but a lot of people are wanting to join, so I'm a bit nervous to be honest. Welcome. Anyway, yeah. How's the weather over there? Over here, it's in July. No, sorry, June, July is the rainy season here in Japan. But what's it like in your region? Everyone, please drop a comment. Super gloomy. I don't know. In the West Coast of the U.S., it's pretty sunny throughout the year. Just October is pretty like wet, but here in Japan, it's pretty, just wet and dark and really nothing else to do. Just, in my house, my apartment, doing nothing. So, yep. But anyway, so I'm going to get into the topic today, right? So this person asked me, actually, I have a lot of people that I know who actually, I have my memo right here, right? I'm going to be looking down a little bit because I'm a bit nervous, to be honest. So there are a lot of people who actually want to come to Japan, right? You guys are studying Japanese, you're, becoming experts because you're in my group. And I'm very happy about that. A lot of comments, a lot of questions, a lot of direct, what do you call it? Messenger, directly like messaging to me. And it's really good. The other day when I did a live, you guys are asking the best comments I ever heard in my, actually, that's probably because you guys are like adults, right? I teach kids here in, oh, by the way, FYI, I'm Sean. I'm here in Aichi, Japan. I own a Japanese and a English language school. I teach both English and Japanese. So just so you know, right? Join our Facebook group if you want. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, I believe. Yep. So a lot of people want to actually learn. And you guys, actually, my adult group here on Facebook, you guys are actually asking pretty good questions, okay? I'll give you credit for that. A lot of the kids actually asked, they're kids, right? But you guys are really good. So I just want to kind of praise you on that. And let me open my memos, right? So like a lot of people have been asking me. So I've been learning Japanese, but what's actually life in Japan like, And so I always tell them that oops, give me one sec. Give me one sec. Give me 1 second, all right? There you go. We do that. There you go. We're back. So a lot of people actually want to come here, but they're not concerned. They're just curious about the fact that I'm here. A lot of other, international people are coming into Japan, pouring in these days because of the COVID. Kind of stopped because of the COVID, but a lot of people are coming in general, right? Since like the end of the war, in the 1940s, the number of international residents have skyrocketed, right? I wouldn't say skyrocketed, but you know what I mean. It's been going steadily up. So a lot of people have been asking me, what's life like in Japan? Like, what do you want? What would you say? What would you expect? What would you want to expect before coming, right? And sorry guys, I'll get back to your comments. I see a lot of comments, but I'll get back to it, right? So they asked me this question, and it's 50% positive, 50% negative. Okay, that's anywhere you go. Not only in Japan. I actually have a lot of people who love it, and a lot of people who actually, end up kind of okay with it, and a lot of people who just want to go back, right? That's, by the way, that's not only in Japan. That's a lot. That happens a lot for international families, right? Like you, if you want to move. There are a lot of people like Latifa here. She speaks like 4 languages. She's one of the members of my Facebook groups. Always gives me a comment. Love it. Good questions. So a point here is you might learn a language, but to be honest, it's a bit discouraging, but you might not like it, right? When you actually get there. But there are things that you can prepare mentally to actually be able to enjoy your new destination, right? So for example, I went, by the way, we have a lot of Southeast Asians here in our group, in our live as well. So I'm gonna give you one example, right? So I went to Singapore, Malaysia once. It was my high school school trip. It was a private school. Don't judge me, right? It was a high school school trip, and we went there for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half. I would say 10 days, right? And so I'm in this international, like this foreign soil where I've never been before. Don't know the language. You guys are better because you're learning Japanese, right? But so you're in a much better position. But I learned nothing. Singapore's English, so it's good, but I learned nothing in Malay. I think Malay is the language, and so I go there, right? And the first thing that this person, I actually stayed with the host family, and the first thing he wants me to do, the dad, it was like an old, like a grandpa guy, right? He serves his dinner and wants me to eat this with my hands, wants me to use my hands. And it's curry. And by the way, this is another cultural thing. In Japan, curry is kind of like it's a more solid, it's solid material, if that makes sense, right? In India or like other parts of Southeast Asia, it's liquid, kind of like soupy, right? So I'm just looking at this guy saying like, up in my head, I was like, I'm white knuckle. I'm like a god, like, how are you supposed to scoop that thing with rice together with it, right? And this guy keeps eating it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how am I supposed to do that? And I just totally just panicked. I asked the the wife, saying, sorry, may I have a spoon, please? I'm very sorry. I don't want to offend you guys, but yeah, I'm just not used to that, right? And that night, I was a bit emotionally. What's the word for it, guys? Yeah, what's the word for it? I was emotionally, mentally a bit unsettled. There you go, unsettled. Okay, and not that I didn't like the trip, but like if I'm not prepared for it, there are things that are gonna definitely like freak you out, right? Like if you go I know people who never been out of their own state, their own province, their area, whatever you want to call it. And the first place out of their area is Japan. And, raw fish kind of freaks you out, right? That happens. But to me, it's kind of like, you do want to be prepared for that kind of stuff to happen, right? And one thing, let me pull out my phone, right? And one thing that, oops. Gotcha. Yeah, a lot of people are messaging me saying they're going to finish class or they finish work at like 11:20, 11:30, so they'll join later. And so, yeah. One thing that you do want to know is religion here. By the way, guys, if you know Japanese, like anything about religion, drop me a comment. I'll actually wait for you guys to answer that. All right? Do you know anything about religion in Japan? Please comment that. Got a lot of stuff to go over today. Actually, yep, I'm quite prepared for it. Yeah, Latifa says, how are you doing? In fact, I've never attended your class like this event. Yep, I wish to be on time on Monday. Yeah. You guys got to come on Monday, man. I got to tell you that too. I'll tell you guys when, 5 more people join, right? Who's the other person? Here you go. Yeah. Morning, guys. Thank you for your comments. Yeah, we're doing an event on Monday, actually. I'm bringing you. Okay, I'll just reveal the secret of it. I'm bringing you to the local temple. All right. More people are joining. Thanks, guys. Drop a comment. Where are you from? Where are you watching from? Here in Japan, it is in the rainy season. It's really wet, dark and cloudy. I hate it. How's the weather in your region? Please comment that. All right. So yeah, Latifa, join us on Monday. It'll be the same time around. So I'll bring you to the temple, show you there's like a place where you there's like a holy place where you can wash your hands before you enter, stuff like that, right? So yeah, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, you better join our Facebook group because we're doing this event only on our group. So for those of you who are in the group, you're safe. So anyway, let's bring back the let's get back on track, right? So the religion here, the Japanese, I wouldn't call it, yeah, I guess it is religion, but it's called Shinto. I'll type it out for you. It's called Shinto, all right? If you knew that, great. If you didn't, you don't now. So if you don't know what it is, no offense, I was raised here, so I don't mean to be rude or anything, right? It is kind of creepy at first if you don't know it, okay? Like, for example, you will see a parent saying, a mom or dad saying, to a kid, don't slam the door when you're upset. The door's going to cry. Don't punch the wall when you're upset. Don't punch anything. It hurts, right? So the point is, everything has a soul, right? And therefore, the what's the word for it? The second hand? No, like the used store in Japan. You go to like a used, or like there are a lot of like used clothes store, right? And it's so clean because they use it so perfectly. So that's another thing you want to be sure to kind of do your research on and can understand how people operate here. I've been here for more than 20 years, so I kind of know how it works. But for a person who has never been here, it's going to be a bit creepy when you hear that, right? Especially if you're like dating someone local. You do not want to slam the door on the person. You do not want to put your feet on the table, right? That's kind of in any country, but you don't want to put, you do not want to wear your outdoor shoes inside, even though it's like a emergency, right? Because people don't do that here. And they're going to say, that's dirty. That's not what people do, right? Again, every material has its own soul. So be careful about that, okay? Yeah, that's one thing. Yep. A lot of people are commenting they want to come on Monday. That's great. Please join us. And yes. Another thing that you want to be careful about is being like, what is being polite in Japan, right? So like, we're not talking Japanese today. We're talking, I got a question from a person, not a question, like a comment, not a specific, I get comments like this all the time. Like even my own cousin actually asked me, like 1 or 2 months ago, that he wanted to visit us, but yeah, so he's studying the language, but he also doesn't, he's studying it, but he doesn't really know any customs or cultures, which you should know before going to any country. For you to, like, you could go without knowing it, but for you to actually understand the place more, so you don't freak out, right? And especially if you're, it really depends on where you're from. If you're from a certain area, certain places are very similar, right? For example, if you're from Europe, maybe the American continent would be like a lot easier for you, right? If you're from Spain, maybe Mexico is easier for you. If you're from the UK, maybe the US is easier for you to kind of adapt to, right? There are small, slight differences, but it's a lot easier, right? But if you're going to a country that does not have any relationships at all, like any, they do have like allies, not that, I don't care about that, but what I'm saying is, if there's no like cultural connection between the two, it's really necessary. It becomes super important for you to know the language. No, sorry, the customs, right? And so, yep, I can't stress enough how important kanji is. She says it's the foundation for reading and writing. But what if the Japanese abandon kanji and use only hiragana and kata? Yeah, you guys can see that comment. Okay, I'm not gonna repeat it, but that's a great question, actually, Latifa. I don't know, actually. Like, kanji comes from China, right? And it's been rooted in our culture for like over, like, I don't know, like 2000. I don't know the exact number. I'm not like a super history like professor or anything, but I think it's been here for like a while now. So, but actually, did you guys know that the Koreans actually changed it? So like the Koreans had their own word, the characters now, but until about like 50 years ago, they had the Chinese characters. So China, Korea, Japan, we all used to use the same alphabet, if you will, right? But Korea just changed it. So like, it's really interesting. My Korean friend from college, I forget his name. Sorry about that. But his name, yeah, I remember his name. He knows how to use the newer version of their language, like their alphabet, but they don't know the ones that we use, like the Chinese and the Japanese use, right? So it's like saying, so where I'm from, right? Like US, UK, New Zealand uses the alphabet, but Australia kind of changed it so it's more convenient, that kind of thing, right? So the Koreans just changed it. Sorry if any of you are Korean and joining. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Please correct me. I'm not a Korean expert or anything, but that's what my friend told me, right? So that's not me saying it. That's what my friend told me about, right? So yes. Other people are joining too. So like, yeah. He says, true, haha, but as time goes by, I have to come to love. Yeah. So like, I don't think they're going to stop using kanji at any time, any moment soon, especially in Japan, Latifa. Like, so let me tell you this, right? I've been to Korea like 2 or 3 times. Okay. And the 2 times I went, it was travel. The one time was only for like a short stay before I went to a different country, like at the airport, right? So the Japanese and the Koreans are very different people. We share a lot of cultural stuff, but what's the word for it? Like, how we think is a bit different, right? The Koreans, I'm super happy to hear that they're very innovative. They look for new, the modern way of life, right? They're really spiritual, in my opinion. I've had several Korean friends. They're very spiritual people. They're very passionate about how to pursue their own happiness, and they go after that, right? But in Japan, it's more of a keep the tradition, right? So it's kind of funny. Like it's kind of like these two parties. If you know, you guys have like CNN, BBC, right? I'm not sure if you all have it, but I think some of you watch it. And yeah, ask a question whenever you want. So so in the US we have like the Democratic and the Republicans, right? So like one's the new one, going after it. One's the traditional one, right? So Korea is kind of the going after the new guys, and the Japanese are kind of keep it quiet, keep it old. Don't do anything special kind of people, right? So that's one thing to be careful about. Actually, here we use cash instead of, I don't know if a lot of people are using it, using credit card or using, what's the word for like electric? No, like smartphone pay, right? Whatever you call that. I've been away for that for a while now. So a lot of times I use my card, but I also use a lot of cash whenever I like eat out or anything, which is very cheap here. I'm not going to get into that, but it's very cheap eating out. So yeah, she says, oh my God, kanji is very, very, very hard. Yeah. But the good thing is, guys, if you learn kanji, you pretty much know what they're saying. You might not know how to read it, but if you know it's like each character has its meaning, right? So if it's like water, right? You write water, the kanji. And if you want to write like a drip of water, it's water plus drip. So when you combine the two, if that makes sense, you understand that they're talking about water, right? Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense, guys, please. All right. So, or if you're talking about a book, that's a Japanese book. Can you read that kanji, by the way? You can ask a question, dude. You guys have a lot of questions. Please ask them. A lot of people are asking me to, if they can ask. Yeah, go ahead and ask. So when you say book, you write the kanji book, right? If you want to say bookshelf, you write book and then shelf, the character for it. So you're going to know. I mean, you might not know how to read it, but it's really easy to understand that they're talking about a book, right? So yeah, that's another thing. And yeah, so anyway, if you do want to learn, my point here is, I can't stress enough, which is that when you want to go to a new place, you probably should know what their, at least a little bit of their customs. You might not like it, so like be prepared for it, right? So yeah. Oh yeah, I see a lot of questions. That's great. So yeah, I see you guys. Yeah, so Shinto is another thing, right? I talked about religion. It's something really important that you really want to understand how people operate, like, right? So like, I'll give you another example, because like being polite. What's being polite for you guys? By the way, I want you guys to drop a comment. What does being polite to you mean, right? So in a lot of Western countries, right, I'll compare it to Japan, right? So like in a lot of Western places that I've been to, it might be something like, so you go to a house, right? If there are any Americans around here, please, well, let's see who's in here. So like, yeah, if there are any Americans around you, I would like to hear your opinion on it. But I think in the US, it's usually if you go to someone else's house or, wherever they live, the focus is on the guest, right? So like what I mean is the host they're hosting you. So you have to be the good guest, right? That's kind of a exchange thing that we do, right? So it's usually the case where you have to be a good guest, right? So it's totally normal for American people to not offer anything. And I would, again, 80-20 rule, right? It's not always 100%, it's 80-20, right? Some people do, some people don't. But in general, I believe that in the US, a lot of times they don't offer anything because you're the guest and you're supposed to be the good guest. And you really don't want to ask for anything, right? You don't want to say, hey, give me that, give me this, right? But in Japan, being a guest means you're the god, as we say. You would say okyakusama, well, kami-sama, right? So the guest is God. That's a literal, like that's an actual saying. That that's an actual Japanese saying that exists here for a long time. I've heard it before at like school, like onboarding, like process of like at a new company, right? It's okyakusama, kami-sama, right? Oh, so the focus becomes more on the guest, right? So, no, sorry, the host. The host has to be more careful about whatever goes on within the house and what you offer, right? So it's very common for Japanese people to tell you to eat it or drink whatever they offer, right? And if you're like a typical American, you're like, no, it's okay, right? Or again, 80-20, a lot of people say thanks and just get it. But a lot of times it's not really a thing where it's just asking for a lot of things as a guest in the US is not really a thing, right? But in Japan, it's kind of normal for them to like keep offering you until you say yes. Like, eat that, eat this. You want some coffee? Yeah. Tea, green tea is a big thing, right? So that's another thing that another cultural thing that you might kind of want to be aware of. What topics are in this event, the Monday event? I think she's talking about. Could you give me an example? So on our Monday event, okay, I'll just reveal it. All right. We're going to the temple, and one thing you can't survive. Okay, yeah, I'll answer everything for you guys. All right. So one by one, what topics are in this event, and could you give me an example? Is it like lessons or a conversation between? No, actually. In the last class, we did like a lesson. So I kind of forced you guys to actually talk. But this time, actually, I'm going to go to like, I don't know, where do you want to go? I was thinking the temple or the local, whatever you see outside. You've never been here, right? So that's what I was thinking. But whatever you want, I can actually add it to my bucket list. So, yep, we're going to the local temple. There's the temple right there. If you know what that is, I'll show you like a place where you can. Yeah, I'll show you when you get there. So you got to come, all right? You guys on YouTube, if any of you are watching on YouTube, you better join because this is only our Facebook group thing, all right? Yeah. So, okay, she says, one thing you can't survive without. Great question. One thing you can't survive without in Japan. I don't know. What's a good one? Okay, I got one. I would say, oh no, that's not a good one. A thing that you cannot survive. That is a good question. Actually, I'm gonna have to pause on that. let me think about that a little bit. Actually, I might have something on my thing here. All right. Oh, God, I think I got this. All right. There's one thing that you cannot survive without, okay? So I'm going to go back to the cultural thing, all right? So if you are, so let's change the question. Let's change the question, all right? What's nationality to you? What does being, let's say you're Canadian, okay? What is being Canadian to you? Or what does it mean to be from a place to you? That is very different in Japan and other places, not only in Japan. Actually, I've discovered that a lot of Eastern places are very different. recently. I've been reading a lot of things on Eastern culture, not only Western stuff, because I always read English stuff. I do want to learn more Eastern stuff. Just the difference, we got the, I'm not going to get into it, but like US Russia thing. And I kind of want to know, what's going on the other end of the world, right? So I'm learning a lot of Eastern culture. And a lot of these places, I don't know, for the viewers here who are watching, what it means to be from your own country. But in Japan, I was talking to my wife the other day. There's the concept of being Japanese as a born and raised, both parents are Japanese, like we call it Nihonjin, right? Nihonjin. And there's the word Nihon Kokuseki, which means Japanese national. And they're very different things. So please remember that, right? I'm sorry I bring a lot of American topics here in as well, but the reason for that is that's the only place I know other than Japan. So I'll give you an example in the US, okay? What does it mean to be American? It's like when you compare what it means to be a Japanese person and an American person, right? When you do that, it's really interesting because to be an American, oh my God, I was talking about this with my family the other day. Yeah. To be an American, it's really inclusive. So like, do you have an American passport? Do you live in the US? Do you speak English, right? Even if you don't speak English, if you're in the US, like if you're living in that place, if you're touching, if you're living there, right? A person walking down the street is going to think, he's an American or she's an American. That baby's an American, right? In Japan, you have to look like a Japanese. You have to be born in Japan. You have to not have lived abroad for a long time. You have to be in Japan for a while until they kind of admit you are Japanese. By the way, this is coming from my own experience. I'm not just some weird foreigner saying this on like crapping on Japan because I was born and raised here and I understand the culture, right? So no hate comments, all right, guys? So I'm born and raised here. I understand it. So let me go through my experience, right? Being a Japanese means to me, but not to me. I'm a third party, right? So like I observe what they think. And I think that in general, if only one parent is Japanese, this is very terrible, but if only one parent is Japanese, they usually treat you not in a bad way. Like they treat you in a neutral way, right? Treat you as someone that has a different mindset, if you will, all right? So you're not necessarily Japanese. You might be like a Japanese citizen, but you're not really Japanese in terms of the word Nihonjin, right? It really doesn't mean you're Japanese. It means you're like super like Japanese to the level that no one could understand, right? It's like, you're like a believer of this. You believe in the country. You're born here. Both your parents are Japanese. All you guys are laughing. You're like, yeah, I understand that. Yeah. I'm actually happy that you guys knew that because it's not a lot of people know that, right? And they kind of freak out when they start working here. They're like, oh yeah, where are you from? The first thing they tell you is the first greeting is, oh, where are you from? And I've got this happened to me a lot. They ask you where you're from, which I'm actually from. I was born here, right? And the other question they ask is, when are you gonna go back? And I'm in my head going, oh God, what? Like, can I not stay? Right? It's like, instead, I'm just going to stay here as long as I want. I'm never going to leave. So that's the thing that kind of goes on here, right? Nothing negative. It's like they don't really mean it. They don't really mean to be rude. They're just curious about, why a person would leave their country because they don't do it, right? It's not a thing where not a lot of people in the Eastern world do that, right? They kind of believe their own place. They have their own like strict, I don't want to be political, but they like a strict territory. And it's not really a thing to like move to different places and just like not come back, right? But in the Western world, it's completely normal to leave and never come back. My family did that, right? Is that good or bad? I'll leave that to you. I don't know if there's any good or bad in that. It's just how people live. It's like a different language, right? You speak Latin, I speak English. You speak Spanish, I speak German, right? So that's another thing you got to know. When you do come to Japan, you will be unsettled because a lot of people will genuinely be curious about it. There's nothing negative towards you. They're just really curious about why you left, why you want to make a living in Japan, not back home, right? And a lot of times they just don't know what other ways of life there is. And it's, I don't know, like I said, it's not a bad thing. It's not even a good thing either. They just don't know. So that's another thing you got to be careful about. And yeah, like you said, Latifa, so the one thing you cannot survive without will be the mentality to ignore that. Just like you could embrace it, but I always ignore it. So like a lot of people would ask me questions and I'll be like, yeah, I mean, I'll answer it to a degree, but I wouldn't answer it like completely, like, I wouldn't be super direct about it, right? So yeah, how to write Sean in Japanese. Yeah, I actually remember that I promised you I'm going to teach you how to write. No, I'm going to teach you why your name, why your name is written like that. Actually, you messaged me the other day saying, how do you write that? And yeah, so in Japanese, I'll bring you closer a little bit, right? All right. So we use, guys, if you're watching this, please drop a comment. I don't know if this is like the correct, is like, I'm using my inner camera, my front camera, so I don't know if this is backwards or not, right? Does that look normal to you? Or is it backwards? You know what I mean? It's like a mirror, right? Please comment on that. Should be okay, I guess. So, all right, I'll erase that. So, because a user, Facebook, I think that's Latifa. You asked me the question, how do you write my name in kanji, right? No, sorry, in Japanese. You write it like that. Does that make sense? Yep. That's how you read it. That should Sean. And the reason why you use katakana, actually, I'm going to erase that because I'm kind of embarrassed of having my name on the board for the rest of the live. So, all right. Okay, so that's how you write it. And I forgot the reason you write it in katakana. So there's hiragana, katakana, kanji, right? Hiragana is the easier. So sorry, let's begin with kanji. Kanji was the original thing that came into Japan, right? So like a lot of people would just use kanji, right? But there's a era called Heian. It's a generation. It's like, like in England, you would say like the Victorian times, right? It's like a generation thing in Japan that happened in Heian, in that era, in that time. A woman, a poet, I think she was a poet. She started writing, and she thought that there should be an easier way to write it, right? Because back then, it wasn't a thing for women. Writing wasn't a thing for women, right? So, yeah. Right now we all write, but like 2,000 years ago, it wasn't a thing. So, yeah. So she actually invented hiragana, the easier way of writing kanji. And then, so that's the two, right? You got two, the kanji and the easier version, right? And then there comes the katakana, which is the stuff that describes something from abroad, something from outside, the outside world, right? So when you write your name, it's not in Japanese, and therefore you write it in katakana. My name, Sean, is not a Japanese name. That's why, therefore, you write it in katakana, if that makes sense. Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, as you guys have been commenting, yep. That's kind of the things that you do want to be careful about. And yeah, for your question, to answer your question, Latifa, yes, I forgot about that, so I apologize. But the reason why you write it in katakana is because it is a something from outside, right? It's not Japanese, so you write it like orange. That's an English word. Phone. That's an English word, right? Cup. That's an English word. Oh yeah, so katakana is usually used for foreign name and foreign tools like my name. Yeah. So Latifa, your name's not Japanese, right? So that's why you use katakana. Yep, that's correct. That is totally right. Yeah, so in this video, I actually wanted to talk about all the stuff that you actually want to know, like the identity part before coming to Japan. And I hope that was helpful. If you guys do not have any questions, I think I'll finish it. I'll give you 2 more minutes to ask questions, all right? Yeah. Also, there are a lot of people who message me during this live thing. Let me see. So that's another thing. They could comment. You guys can comment on it, but yeah. But people message me here, so I'm just gonna look at all the questions, all right? Yeah. Ask a question. Yeah. My name Latifa is actually in katakana, like I wrote right there. That's in katakana. It's not hiragana or kanji, right? That's my name. Sean is a English name. I don't know if it's English, like if we have it in like other Latin languages or anything, but at least for me, it's an English name. So I believe it is, and that's why it's used and written in katakana, right? So yep. If you guys do not, I'm just gonna answer this question right here real quick. No, let's not do that. Yeah, I'll just answer all the questions on the live thing. So no problem, man. No problem. Thank you. Yeah. You want to join the temple thing on Monday? You guys open for that? I will. Yeah, some of you are saying. Yeah. Anyway, this is Sean. I own a language school here in Japan. I teach Japanese and English. Just so you know, if you're watching on YouTube, please join our Facebook group. The link is going to be down below. And subscribe, like it if you like the video, all right? Thank you. All right, ciao, guys. Be safe. Till Monday. I'll see you guys on Monday, all right? Ciao.